no darn good. I hate people.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time. So if it is your first time, please feel welcome to have a delve at some of the other videos I've done. I've still got this cold, so I may pause sometimes, I'm not sure. But I'd like to do a video where, despite the fact that recently I said I wasn't really coping with book events very well, I'm going to join in on People April. So it's a great April-based readathon where biographies, memoirs, autobiographies, books about people is celebrated. And there's a few that I've been meaning to read anyway, so it's a nice excuse to do it, and it'd be nice to get involved. I don't know how much of the April reading is going to be the People April event, but I'm going to give myself a goal of at least 2 books that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So I'm actually going to talk about 9 books or something, which fit into the category. And we'll see how we get on during the month. There's a few other things I want to read. There's something I need to read for the Read Good Ben Reads Good Read Read Good Challenge. Read Good Book Challenge. I can't even remember what it had. Anyway, that one. No, I haven't got that one lined up yet. But I just want to concentrate on the People April announcement really for this video. So there are other things I'll be reading in the month, but I thought it was a really nice thing to talk about because it's a very specific area of reading. It's a very specific area of book buying and book borrowing and book reading. So I'll start with three books that are kind of priority, and then I'll move on from there and talk about the others. So I'm very likely to read my Bill Marks book, Son of Harpo Speaks. So one of my favourite biographies, or it's an autobiography, one of my favourite autobiographies is from his dad, Harpo Marx. And I'm a huge fan of Harpo Marx. I've called myself a little bit of an expert on the Marx brothers. I've been following them and reading about them since I was a kid. And I'm a huge fan. So I'd love to read this one. This is one that I recently purchased. It's one of the few books about them that I haven't got. So that I didn't have. Obviously I have now. That I didn't have. And I got it. And Bill Marks, I've seen Bill Marks in interview many, many times on the DVD extras and stuff. But this is a book where he talks about his dad, Harpo. And Harpo is easily the most likable member of the Marx Brothers family. So this is really cool. I can't wait to read this, to be fair. So, yeah, that's going to be the first one I read, probably. There's also a James Baldwin book, Notes of a Native Son. And I'm reading more and more James Baldwin at the moment, and this is definitely a priority as well. So this is an autobiography, and he's obviously written novels and short stories that reflect his experience and his purpose in writing. But this is obviously very much based on his life. So Notes of a Native Son is definitely something I want to read. I need to blow my nose again. Okay, so the third one is a Carrie Fisher book. So this would be the third Carrie Fisher book I've read. So I've read Postcards from the Edge and The Princess Diaries. So this is Wishful Drinking. And obviously she's got her Princess Leia original Star Wars film garb there in the picture. But this is definitely something that I'm keen to read. And it's relatively short as well. But more importantly, I am very interested in her because I think she's a fascinating woman and a huge character in my life when I was a kid. So yeah, Wishful Drinking, Carrie Fisher. And then this is another one I wanted to read. So those are kind of the main 3, but this is the one that Shappi Khoshandy wrote, a British comedian called Scatterbrain, and it's subtitled How I Finally Got Off the ADHD Roller Coaster and Became the Owner of a Very Tidy Sock Drawer. She's a comedian that has written a book about ADHD. So I think only mentioned this once on my channel. I may have mentioned it again in passing, but I am on a very slow journey to find out if I've got ADHD. When I mention it to my family and to my students and to my friends, everyone says, you have definitely got it. But it'd be nice to be diagnosed with it. Not because I want any medication about it, but it just explains a lot of the way my mind works and my strange sleeping habits and the way I am successful and unsuccessful at certain things. And yeah, I'd like to read this because I think she's tackling ADHD from her own perspective and her own life. And I think this would be a really interesting contribution to People April. And I'm expecting it to be quite informative on that early part of my journey into ADHD knowledge. So yeah, Shappy Kashandi. I also really like her stand-up, actually. I think she's a really funny person anyway. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so the others that I may get to, there's one really famous one here, so I'll start with that one. It'll be a reread, but it'll be for the Banned Books Challenge. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. This book is an incredible book, but it's been decades since I read it, so I wanted to read it again for the Banned Challenge. So I might get to this in April. If I do, then it will clearly be one of the best books I've read this year. I know it's an important book. I know it's a good book because I've read it, but it was a long time ago. So I would like to read it again. So Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, the first book of her long-running series of memoirs. So there's a few other things here. So again, equally serious, but different kind of character. Kate Adie, I found this book in a second-hand shop recently. I thought this was a really interesting purchase. So Kate Adie is a very famous war journalist in Britain, English war journalist, and she was always on the front line, and she was just constantly on our news channels. I think she worked for the BBC, so on our BBC, did she work for the BBC? I think she did. Commenting on the war, so from the front lines. So she was a genuine, constant presence on our news feed when I was younger. And this is called Corsets to Camouflage, and it's specifically about women and war. So I know that I had a little flick through, and I know it goes deep into the past as well. So it's not just about her own experience, but about women's relationship to war, going back to the Second World War and stuff. So it's probably a really interesting book. So Kate Adie's memoir, if you like, or I don't know how many books she's written, but what does it say here? An engrossing history and far more than a sartorial survey. Riveting and beautifully illustrated. Vivid history of ordinary women and their extraordinary deeds through 2 world wars and beyond. Okay, so yeah, so it sounds like her part of it may not be quite as important as the cover suggests, but this could be really interesting. So this is from Kate Adie, who was a war correspondent through my childhood, basically. So there's another one here, by another one from a woman's perspective, a woman's experience, but this is on the poker tables. So this is Victoria Corrin, and for Richard Fapora, Confessions of a Player. So she's a very famous TV personality. She presents the incredibly difficult quiz called Only Connect. So if you ever see any clips of Only Connect on YouTube, if you don't know it, watch it. It's so difficult. But she's a very clever lady, and famously, she's married to a celebrity, David Mitchell. He's a very funny guy. So it's quite an interesting pair. It's a very interesting celebrity pair. And I love seeing her on TV. I love seeing her on QI, especially, and those kinds of things. But anyway, she's written this book because besides being a TV personality and running the quiz Only Connect and all that sort of stuff, she is very successful on the poker tables and did win a very important poker tournament. And it was like big news that a woman won that tournament because it's so unusual. So this is about her experience playing against men in the high stakes poker games. So yeah, I think it'll be really good, and because she's naturally funny, I think that might be really cool. So yeah, that's one I'd like to read. And then just to finish off this video, 2 music biographies. So I have read this before, but I bought it again when I've had it secondhand because I wanted to read it again. And that's Joe Jackson's autobiography, A Cure for Gravity, and because he grew up around here, it'd be nice to read about Portsmouth again or the surrounding areas. And I love Joe Jackson's music, so I'm a big fan of his stuff. If you don't know his stuff, then I personally think his two best albums are I'm the Man and Look Sharp. Two amazing albums, but he's done many albums, and he's still recording now. But he had his big hits in the 80s. So yeah, Joe Jackson, The Cure for Gravity. And that's Dave Houghton, who still lives in Portsmouth and is very active on Facebook, and was quite active on the local music scene. I think he's retired now. So he was his drummer. So it's Joe Jackson. And then just to finish off, I bought this in New Orleans. Got very excited to see it. In this shop that I bought this, there were loads of really interesting music books and music biographies. And there was one on Little Richard, I remember that. There was one on... there's loads on rock and roll in general. There's one on Fats Waller, which is not that surprising. He's from New Orleans. But anyway, I went with this one, and I thought I'd save some money. Didn't buy everything I saw. But I bought this book on Muddy Waters. Can't Be Satisfied. The Life and Times of Muddy Waters. And I would love to read this. So if I go for a month that's absolutely dominated by non-fiction, which would be unusual for me, but if I do, then I will be able to read a lot of these. So yeah, maybe if I don't get to this, maybe it can spread off into May a little bit, maybe. But also April, I will be on holiday in some of it. So it'll be interesting to see if I just pick fiction to read on the plane, or if I pick something from here and some fiction, because it's quite a short journey as well. It's only like 3 hours journey because we're going to Croatia. But I will be taking books on holiday, and I think I don't expect to buy any over there. Yeah, when I go to New York, I think I'm going to buy a load. So I'm only going to take something for the plane up there, and I'm expecting to read what I buy in New York. Whereas in Croatia, I think what I buy will be read on the way back as well. So I'll probably take a few books. So yeah, we'll see. Anyway, People April. I haven't said who the hosts are. So this is hosted by three brilliant booktubers. There's Elizabeth from Book in Books, and you've got Brian from Bookish, the Bookish Texan, and we've got Roz from Scally Dangling About the Books. Three lovely people, great channels. So yeah, go see their introduction videos. This is simply my commitment to reading some of these books for the month, and we'll see how we get on. I did say recently that me and Dave and Joe might read the second book in the first trilogy that Robin Hobb wrote, but again, we'll see how much I want non-fiction to be a character of my reading in April. Tell me what you think of those books, and recommend some similar things. If you think, if you like that, you might like this. Feel free to comment, and please look at those other introduction videos from the other three, the main hosts of the event. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Stay curious.
Picture